What if Generation 2 had 17 starters? What would be the perfect starter Pokemon for each and every type in the Johto games? That is the very question that I'm going to tackle in this video. The rubric that I'll use to determine a type starter Pokemon is as follows. First of all, since these are the Gen 2 games, we'll obviously be favoring Generation 2 Pokemon. There might be a couple of instances where we aren't able to follow this rule, since the second set of games only added 100 new Pokemon, as opposed to Red and Blue's 151, and there are 2 additional types. I'll also be favoring Pokemon with 3 evolutionary stages. This is the lesser of the 2 rules, as we can always utilize my beautiful wife's artistic inclinations to whip us up new evolutions, like in my previous starter of every type video. Also, we are going to keep the original 3 starters for fire, grass, and water types, something I didn't do previously. After we make our decision on a particular Pokemon, we're going to go even deeper than that. In my other video, we spent a lot of time adjusting base stat totals to appropriate starter Pokemon levels. For this video, I wanted to switch it up. We're just going to assume all these Pokemon have the right BSTs, and instead of changing stats, we're going to come up with new move learn sets. I'll use the original starters learn sets to get an average of how many moves each Pokemon will learn, as well as the levels that they learn them at. Note, we're just going to go over moves learned via level up, not TM and HM. Each Pokemon's learn set will be based on their actual learn set, but we'll be adjusting what levels they learn certain moves at, as well as adding new moves they might not otherwise learn if they don't naturally learn enough moves, or if the power of the moves doesn't scale properly with how a starter should. We're going to kick things off with normal type, and our options are Rattata, Sentret, Cleffa, Igglybuff, Togepi, Dunsparce, Ditto, Aipom, Snubbull, Stantler, Meowth, Girafarig, Tauros, Miltank, Smeargle, Lickitung, Eevee, Teddiursa, Kangaskhan, Porygon, Chansey, and Snorlax. We can eliminate every Generation 1 Pokemon right off the bat because normal is such a prolific type in these games, we have plenty of new Pokemon to choose from. Next, I'm going to rule out the baby Pokemon that evolve into Kanto Pokemon, as well as the Gen 2 Pokemon with only 1 stage, because there are a handful of new normal types that do evolve. Sentret, Snubbull, Teddiursa, and Togepi make up the normal type Final 4. For purposes of this video, all baby Pokemon are going to be considered normal first form starter Pokemon. And all Pokemon evolve via level up, so we can consider Pokemon that evolve via Stone, Trade, or Friendship just as much. The levels they evolve at are 16 and 36. I don't think you can really go wrong with any of these choices, but Teddiursa is my favorite of what we have available, so that's what I decided on. We're going to have to whip up an additional evolution for it, however, and I think Teddiursa is a perfect starter, and Ursaring is a perfect final form, so for the middle evolution of this line, we have Ursaulo. Ursa for bear, combined with Solus, which is Latin for lone or solitary. The 2 moves it starts with are Scratch and Leer, then it learns Lick at 7, Fury Swipes at 12, Feint Attack at 19, Rest at 27, Slash at 38, Snore at 49, and Thrash at 60. Now Flying type also has a pretty long list. We have Pidgey, Spearow, Hoothoot, Ledyba, Zubat, Hoppip, Farfetch'd, Natu, Delibird, Mantine, Skarmory, Murkrow, and Aerodactyl. No Scyther here because Scizor loses its flying typing. After eliminating the Gen 1 and non-evolvers, we're left with a pretty interesting selection of Hoothoot, Ledyba, Hoppip, and Natu. Hoppip is a 3-stage line, but it leans heavily towards being a grass type as opposed to the flying type, which is more of an afterthought. So ultimately, I went with what I feel like is the purest flyer, Hoothoot. So we're left with deciding whether Noctowl should be a stage 2 or stage 3. I do like Noctowl's design, but it doesn't really give off final form starter vibes to me, so we'll call it the middle evolution. For Noctowl's evolution, we have this guy, and we're going to call him Strigikron, combining the words Strigidae, meaning owl, and Chronos, meaning time. While I'm not going to be giving it the psychic typing, because of the lore surrounding the Pokemon, it will learn a few psychic type attacks. It starts off with Tackle and Growl, it learns Gust at level 7, Foresight at 12, Wing Attack at 19, Hypnosis at 27, Psybeam at 38, Reflect at 49, and Aeroblast at 60. We have a smaller selection for the electric type starter. We have Pichu, Mareep, Magnemite, Voltorb, and Elekid to choose from. And in my opinion, there's one clear-cut winner, a fan favorite with 3 stages, the electric sheep that is inexplicably absent from Crystal version, Mareep. This line will start with Tackle and Growl, then Thundershock at 7, Thunder Wave at 12, Cotton Spore at level 19, Light Screen at 27, Thunder Punch at 38, Double Team at 49, and Thunder at 60. Now let's figure out the bug type starter. We have a pretty decent sized list of bug types available, those being Caterpie, Weedle, Leddyba, Spinarak, Paris, Pineco, Venonat, Scyther, Pinsir, Heracross, Shuckle, and Yanma. Like I said, a pretty good chunk of Pokemon to pick from, but there are a few that stick out to me, those being Leddyba, Spinarak, and Pineco. If Yanma had its Yanmega evolution, it would probably be my selection, but we're treating this thought experiment as if Gold and Silver are the most recent games and nothing beyond them exists, so for all intents and purposes, Yanma is not a thing for us. My favorite design among these is Pineco, and I think it's been pretty underrepresented, so I think this is a great opportunity to showcase it, as well as its evolved form Forretress. There's a lot of room in between Pineco and Forretress, so in my opinion, making Forretress the stage 3 is the best bet. Here we have the middle form, named Armabark. Again, the default moves are Tackle and Growl. 7, it learns Leech Life. At 12, it learns Self-Destruct. This might seem like a weird move to learn here, but I really want these Pokemon to retain their identities, and Pineco is a self-destructor to its core. Pin Missile at 19, Body Slam at 27, Spikes at 38, Explosion at 49, and Double Edge at 60. Unfortunately, the only actually powerful bug move in these games is Mega Horn, and since there's only one bug Pokemon that even has a horn, we don't have a great selection of bug type attacks available to this line, so we had to make its mid and late game learn set consist of normal type moves. Now we have another laundry list of Pokemon for the poison type starter. Weedle, Spinarak, Zubat, Ekans, Ghastly, Bellsprout, Oddish, both Nidorans, Venonat, Coughing, Grimer, Quillfish, Tentacool, and Bulbasaur. A lot of options here, but to me the choice is obvious. The Spinarak line are the first spider Pokemon in the entire series of games, and they will be the poison starter of the Johto region. We'll invent a third form for this line, making Ariados the middle stage. This big boy is our Ariados evolution, named Arachnox. This line starts off with Poison Sting and String Shot. It learns Leech Life at 7, Scary Face at 12, Nightshade at 19, Sludge at 27, its signature move Spiderweb at 38, Sludge Bomb at 49, and Psychic at 60. Next on the docket is the Rock type. We have Geodude, Sudowoodo, Corsola, Shuckle, Rhyhorn, Ammonite, Kabuto, Aerodactyl, and Larvitar. No Onyx because Steelix loses that rock typing to become Steel Ground. Rhyhorn and Larvitar will make the final cut, but it's not really a competition. Larvitar is new to the generation, it's 3 stages, it's the clear choice here. Its starting moves are Tackle and Leer with Sandstorm at level 7, Rock Throw at 12, Screech at 19, Rock Slide at 27, Crunch at 38, Ancient Power at 49, and Hyper Beam at 60. This is one of my favorite lines in the entire series, and this is a pretty nasty learn set for it. We have a healthy but not overwhelming selection of ground type Pokemon for the ground type starter. There's Sandshrew, Geodude, Wooper, Onix, Diglett, Swinub, Phanpy, Cubone, and Rhyhorn. I did some back and forth when selecting the ground type starter. Wooper is an interesting dual type, but I think it ultimately leans more toward water than ground. Onix runs into a similar problem with its ground typing being more of a secondary type versus rock being the primary. Phanpy and Swinub are both good options, but I ultimately chose Phanpy because it's a pure ground type. Phanpy's actual evolution, Donphan, will be the middle form, which will eventually evolve into the triple-horned Tuscadon. Phanpy begins with Tackle and Growl, then learns Mud Slap at level 7, Defense Curl at 12, Magnitude at 19, Horn Attack at 27, Roll Out at 38, Earthquake at 49, and Mega Horn at 60. Another really powerful learn set. Similarly to Generation 1, Generation 2 only introduced one ghost type, so our only choices are Ghastly or Mischievous. Unlike Generation 1, however, Ghastly is perfect for a starter Pokemon, and Mischievous is horrid for one. So for the second consecutive region, Ghastly is the ghost type starter Pokemon. The default moves here are Lick and Leer, with Confuse Ray learned at level 7, Nightshade at 12, Curse at 19, Hypnosis at 27, Dream Eater at 38, Shadow Ball at 49, and Psychic at 60. Some powerful moves here, but we'd likely have to rely on some TMs to get us through the mid-game where we're not really learning moves that do damage on their own with no strings attached. Our Psychic types are Unknown, Slowpoke, Drowsy, Abra, Execute, Wobbuffet, Girafarig, Smoochum, Mr. Mime, and Natu. There's actually a pretty hefty amount of potential Psychic options with Generation 2 adding 5 new Psychic types. But when considering the criteria we've used so far, our Psychic finalists consist of Smoochum, Natu, and Abra. Abra is a perfect choice with 3 stages, but it was our Generation 1 Psychic starter, and we have a couple of other serviceable options that originate from Johto. The choice is between Smoochum and Natu. Smoochum I honestly don't care for, it's just not a very appealing design to me, and it evolves into Jinx, which is a Generation 1 Pokemon, and Natu is this cute little guy. Look at him, just a cute little guy. And he evolves into a new Pokemon, Xatu. So we're obviously going with the cute little guy. Natu is the pick. These Pokemon are based on Native American totem poles, and Xatu will evolve into this line's new 3rd stage, Astratu. They begin with Peck and Leer, with Confuse Ray at 7, Confusion at 12, Nightshade at 19, Wing Attack at 27, Future Sight at 38, Psychic at 49, and Fly at 60. There's only a few Fighting-type Pokemon available, those being Heracross, Mankey, Machop, and Tyrogue. And I eventually settled on Tyrogue. Our alternate Pokemon timeline version of Tyrogue only evolves into Hitmontop, instead of having the potential to evolve into either Hitmontop, Hitmonchan, or Hitmonlee. Hitmontop will be our Stage 2, with its evolution being this fierce fighter by the name of Hitmonado. Tyrogue starts with Pound and Growl, then learns Quick Attack at 7, Focus Energy at 12, Rolling Kick at 19, Counter at 27, Agility at 38, Triple Kick at 49, and Aero Blast at 60. This move might seem kinda out of place here, but the idea is that this Pokemon is capable of spinning so fast it can shoot massive blasts of air at its enemies. We only have 4 ice types to choose from, those being Smoochum, Swinub, Sneasel, and Lapras. And contrary to popular belief, Shellder and Seal are not ice types. They are mono water types until they evolve, so they're not eligible. We'll start by ruling out Lapras and Sneasel since they have no evolutions. Also, Lapras was the ice type starter the last time we did a video like this. And we are left with Smoochum and Swinub. And similarly to our Smoochum Natu matchup, we're left with a weird looking thing that evolves into an old Pokemon, and a tiny little boy that evolves into a new Pokemon. So we're gonna go with the tiny little boy. I do like the design of Swinub and his evolution Piloswine, but it doesn't have the final form starter vibes, so we'll be designing a 3rd stage, and it'll be this Herkin guy by the name of Glacibor. We start off with Tackle and Growl, then Powder Snow at 7, Endure at 12, Takedown at 19, Fury Attack at 27, Ice Beam at 38, Amnesia at 49, and Blizzard at 60. While there are technically 2 options for the Steel type, those being Magnemite and Skarmory, Skarmory's really the only one that makes sense, since Magnemite would just end up being another Electric type, since the only Steel type attacks in Generation 2 are Metal Claw, Steel Wing, and Iron Tail, and it doesn't make sense for Magnemite to learn any of those moves. And Skarmory does in fact have claws, wings, and a tail, meaning it's totally within reason that it could learn all 3. This is the only time that we're faced with needing to create 2 evolutions for a line, and we'll have Skarmory be the middle stage, with the actual starter being this guy named Skarmlet, with the final form being a brutal avian tank called Scarnage. We'll start out with Peck and Leer, then Sand Attack at 7, Metal Claw at 12, Protect at 19, Steel Wing at 27, Extreme Speed at 38, Iron Tail at 49, and Sky Attack at 60. Dratini is the only available choice for the Dragon type. Horsea and Seadra are not Dragon types, even though they definitely should be, so the only Dragon type introduced in Gen 2, Kingdra, is not able to be featured here. The learn set here is Wrap and Leer, then Thunder Wave at 7, Twister at 12, Dragon Rage at 19, Slam at 27, Agility at 38, Outrage at 49, and Sky Attack at 60. Now we have 3 options for the Dark type starter: Murkrow, Sneasel, and Houndour, and I actually really like all of their designs, but one stands above the rest largely for the fact that it has an evolution. While Murkrow and Sneasel are cool, we're going with Houndour here. We're going to have Houndoom be the stage 3, and for the middle evolution we have this pupper right here that we'll call Houndark. We'll start off with Tackle and Leer, then Ember at 7, Bite at 12, Poison Gas at 19, Flame Wheel at 27, Scary Face at 38, Crunch at 49, and Fire Blast at 60. There you have it, every type in Generation 2 and their unofficial starter Pokemon. These videos are a lot of fun for me to make, going through every Pokemon, weighing the pros and cons. I just enjoy all of it, and if you did too, like and subscribe, and I'll see you around.